Basketball Timeline by Deniel Buckel. This is an overview of the timeline that I will be speaking of shortly. It shows from the start of basketball to today's modern day basketball. Basketball was created by Dr. James Naismith. At first, it was a 10-foot elevated peach basket which the players had to shoot into. He created it because he was a lecturer of a gym class and they had no sport to do on rainy days. It had very basic rules and they played it with soccer balls. Peach baskets were used until 1906. The very start of basketball, you could say, was when the ancient Aztecs played with small rubber balls into these tiny hoops here. It was called Ulamatizati. It was a famous Aztec ball game, and the balls were one of the courts were one of the very first things Aztec settlers made when settling into a new city. The game was not just for entertainment, but for politics and religions, and the loser would often be sacrificed. It just shows how sport, even in the old days, influenced modern, culture. On February 9th, 1895, the first intercollegiate 5v5 game was played versus Hamelin and the School of Agriculture or something. In 1901, colleges began sponsoring men for games, and in 1905 they formed a governing body, which is now known as the NCAA. February the 6th, 1904, Canadian inter-university basketball games were played. That was the first, league. Professional basketball started in 1920. There are now hundreds of professional basketball players and hundreds of teams. Players often jumped from teams to teams and played in armories and smoky dance halls, which is a big change from now. Squads such as the original Celtics, the New York Renaissance 5, and the still existing Harlem Globetrotters played up to 200 games a year on their national tours. The Olympics was formed in 1924, although some may think it's 1934. They have played national finals in 1924. Basketball became an official Olympic summer sport in 1924. Was constantly held at the Olympics from 1936. USA has been the most successful team, winning 14 out of 17 titles they've competed in, the women winning 7 out of 9. These are the years they've won. Exhibition matches were held beforehand, which is why there are dates before the official dates. International basketball was formed in 1932. There are 8 founding nations. Men's basketball was first included in the Summer Olympics constantly in Berlin, in Germany, in the 1936 Summer Olympics. The first loss to USA was a controversial final game in Munich in 1972 against the Soviet Union. Wheelchair basketball. This is a huge step in basketball. It means disabled people can play basketball even after massive injuries. It was first designed as a rehabilitation program in Stoke Mandeville Hospital, that's in UK in Birmingham. It was first known as wheelchair netball, as you couldn't carry on bouncing the ball while shooting and stuff. You can't move. World Championships have been held since 1973. They use special adapted wheelchairs, which requires the sport, whatever. The NBA World Series, before it was known as the the Finals, it was known as the NBA World Series. The first NBA tournament was held in 1947. Minneapolis Lakers dominated the NBA World Series at this for 5 years out of the 10 years it was called the World Series. Minneapolis are now called the LA Lakers. The finals has been played at the end of the NBA and Basketball Association, the National Basketball Association of America season in history, for the first time being held in 1947. Larry Bird's pro career, arguably one of the biggest player between him and Michael Jordan. He was the hick of the French lick, that was his nickname. He was born as a poor child and started as a small forward and moved to a power forward for 13 years. He won 3 NBA championships and received a scholarship for Indiana University Houses. Larry Bird was the first dominant player to excel over his other teammates and every other player he played against. Followed by Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is renownedly known as the top basketball player around the world. If you ask someone about basketball to name a player, they will name Michael Jordan. He's 49 years old and was born on February the 17th, 1963. He is 6 foot 6 inches and was picked of the first round of the third pick of the first round. He was with the Chicago Bulls from 1984 to 1993, and then again 1995 to 1998, and then he moved to the Washington Wizards after coming back from retirement, baseball, from 2001 to 2003. He has scored 32,292 points, averaging at 30.1 points per game. He has scored 6,672 rebounds. That's 6.2 rebounds per game. He's assisted 5,633 nets, which averages at 5.3 per game. The Finals was named the Finals in 1986. Usually a team dominates the league for consecutive years, much like the Minneapolis Lakers with the World Series. Boston Celtics and the Chicago Bulls have also had dominant periods. Since 1985, the winners of the NBA Finals has been determined through a 2-3-2 format. The first and last 2 games of the series played are in an arena of the team who earned the home court advantage by having the better record during the regular season. This is much like most sports these days. Most American sports. The lockout is happens quite a bit when the players disagree with what the committee is saying, and it's like a strike. In 2007, the 4th lockout in history occurred. It lasted for 161 days from the 1st of July to the 8th of December 2011. The definition of a lockout is an industrial action during which an employer withholds work and denies employees access to the workplace. In effect, it is a strike. Like I said, I got this information from businessdictionary.com. The modern day NBA, there is a lot of technology in the NBA these days, and it has changed substantially from the original Aztec formation and what Professor Dr. James Naisworth first envisioned it. They have technologies such as buzzers, shot clocks, backboard cams, scoreboards, sprung floorboards, and even Nike basketball shoes. Even the balls have changed to just like rubber balls or footballs, to now being specialised balls which, if you kicked, would go and like turn into an egg. The current championships of the modern day NBA title are the Miami Heat, and they have 29 teams in the United States competing at its highest level, and one team in Canada. The media in basketball changes a lot of things in life. The reason why people are so addicted to the sport is because the players are taking the sport to a new level every year. Like from Larry Bird to Michael Jordan to Shaquille O'Neal, players are just getting better and better, and people are hooked on that, seeing how man can become bigger and bigger each time. Media in basketball particularly is pre-game. They do talks after the game. They ask how it's been. During the draft, people choose picks and stuff. Like really, they're dictating how these players are living their lives, but everywhere outside of the court, inside of the court. The internet takes a big part on that, and we always know what they're doing. Ignore that. The hierarchy of basketball starts with FIBA. For a while now, it's been the governing body of the basketball world. Here, between these two, we have the USA side and the British side. National teams is what people aspire to get to within the basketball community. Then you have the British leagues in basketball, much like the NBA. They have high levels of basketball competition within the country itself. Then you have county basketball. In America, they have county basketball, but it's not as big as the NCAA Divisions 1, 2, and 3. Here we have counties playing, such as Lancashire, Western England basketball, stuff like that. We have inter-county teams here as well, which compete to become in county teams. So county teams will be selected into, no, inter-county teams will be selected into county teams, which will be selected into like the leagues itself, like higher leagues, which then will be selected into the national teams, which will play in the FIBA association. In America, they run the middle schools into the high schools, from the high schools into college, which they're recruited in. From the colleges, it's straight into the NBA, and if they're good enough in the NBA, they will be selected into the USA national team. Thank you for listening.